Thank you very much for the introduction and for inviting me. And thank you to Donald and Janice for publishing my book. So I start with my collection, Negotiating Caponata. And a lot of the poems in this book are about food. Food is so important for Italian people. It's not just cooking, not just nourishing, it's also a way to relate to others and shapes our identity, actually. So I start with a poem that is the title, Negotiating Caponata. First, peel and chop potatoes in cubes. Cook separately in a frying pan. Then add peppers and aubergines in pieces. Salt, tomato passata, 1 or 2 tablespoons. Some water. Simmer for 1 hour or 2. Stir. The aloofness at times. They are difficult to digest like peppers or sour like aubergines, floating adrift or biting back. But the cut ingredients finally mashed together in the sauce, sensitive and vulnerable. The body has no protection when the light dims. And the second poem is Cooking Betrayal. It's about my original family relationships, my dad, my mom, my sister, and I. Cooking Betrayal. It seems to matter I use the hob to warm milk, not the microwave. It seems to matter I choose rosemary instead of oregano over bean soup before adding tomato sauce and macaroni. That I told you he was hooked by melons and plum tomatoes, though you couldn't believe it, and carried on cooking your usual brown rice, one dish only for dinner. My sister ducking with a marinated cabbage in olive oil. I was the idiot. My pointless cake making and biscuit baking, crumbling along the path, signposting my coming back home. You camouflaged the fennels in thick white sauce and parmigiano, serving it cold on chopping boards. It was frightful. But what can you do now? The peas are squandered on the kitchen floor, mashing under our feet. Who knows what he thought? Who knows what you concealed under the leaves? And thank you. The next poem is a real recipe. I found it in an Italian magazine, actually, while I was waiting at the hairdresser. And my Italian friends who read the poem when it was published, they said, there is no cream in the carbonara. But I told them, but I found the recipe in an Italian magazine, so possibly there can be cream. The recipe is very good. I tried it. It's delicious, really. So special carbonara. Liquor is the secret ingredient, and prosciutto instead of pancetta. Sauteing with butter and cream. The dizziness of the beaten eggs, mixing with black pepper and parmigiano. You turn linguine over in the frying pan, the gin steaming, filling the kitchen with thick vapor in a bellicose conversation. Entangling and disentangling pasta with a server and a fork, straightening words in plain reason. The mixture absorbs the different points of view, makes them appetizing. Things connect, though distinct, and we savor carbonara together. This poem is in a different mood. It's about winter, when sometimes I feel a bit down, a bit moody because there is not much light, it's cold. So it's midwinter stew. You stay, attending to the stew, onions, celery, carrots, mushrooms and potatoes, swimming, simmering, whispering the end of the day. The chunks of beef sink in the early darkness. You stay, listening to echoes of broken sticks, conjuring nightmares in the cauldron. You stay. The vegetables float in a thick sauce, while the stewing beef melts the knots. Nightmares have no reason, only shadows now behind you. Winter seeps through branches, dead leaves disappeared, leaving past season flat, unforgiven. And the next poem is about something that really happened a few years ago while we did some works in the back garden. Ants. One summer, after digging deep in the rear garden to pave it, ants climbed up our French window, poking into the living room. Did we turn their lives upside down? At first they proceeded in scattered grouping, then ordered queues. We sealed the French window with silicone, washed the floor with bleach, sprayed vinegar and water, added essential oils, lemon juice, baking soda as prescribed. They came back every night, every day, a relentless army of black things, silent invaders, reclaiming our space. They reached the kitchen in due time, found their way to the shelves and cupboards, biscuit boxes, sugar jar, flour bags. The tiniest food remains, crumbs or juice drops, attracted hundreds. Growing in confidence, they settled under the floorboards. We gave up, bought a bottle of ant killer powder, fast and effective, lasting up to 3 months, sprinkled it around their paths. They disappeared in a day, of course, their insignificant bodies dissolving under our feet. In the second section of this collection, there is a sequence about my father's death. He died in 2016 of cancer, pancreatic cancer. When the doctors realized it was really too late, it was terminal. And my father was a doctor, but he wasn't aware of it. He thought, when he started to feel sick, he thought it was an upset stomach. And till the end, he hoped for an operation or cure, something. So, cancer. You cured your liver stones and high blood pressure, ancestral relics, but metastases spread everywhere, starting from the pancreas. Shambhala beads cast around, invading and growing, deeply rooting in your belly. Called to help the sick, you couldn't assist yourself. Flying. Back and forth every 2 weeks, from Gatwick to Fiumicino, my brain drained by the day-to-day and the constant urge to be present. I kept calling, hoping for impossible news, couldn't restrain my anxiety, hearing your husky voice on the phone. Surprisingly, in spite of all the fights, your blows and my defiance, we were your most precious stones, rings bound to your fingers. You knew we would scatter in the dangerous world when you'd gone. I didn't have an easy relationship with my father. He was very possessive, but we argued a lot, especially when I was a teenager and in my 20s as well. But at the end, he always supported me, I must say. And he had a strong sense of the family, of course, as most of Italian people. So at the hospital, no cure, but the IV made you feel better. You asked for ice cream, espresso, crackers with butter, soap, hoping your stomach would keep it. One night they let me stay. You felt lonely and slept most of the time in the dim light of the hospital room. the sounds like bat wings measuring space. The next morning you thought you'd pull through, were back to your old self, planning an operation and cure. Don't you dare, you said from your deathbed. Your last words. At home, they gave you morphine. They said a week or two. Your belly an improbable balloon under the bedsheet. For a second, you opened your eyes, your Roman nose grasping the air, lifted an arm, tried to speak. The last advice? Or threats if we transgressed? Take care of mother, possibly, and always keep the family ties. But the drug prevailed. You were down again, snoring loudly. At night, the smell of the K became stronger. I opened the window to let in the mild April air and waited in bed, listening to the silence of the night. Your body voiceless and still, only my memory of you alive. In this collection, there are a lot of poems about family, relationships, my mom. This is a poem about my daughter. My daughter is in Tokyo, and she has been there for 2 years and a half now, to do a master in fashion and design. She hopefully will come back after Christmas. So this is for my daughter. In touch with my daughter in Tokyo. I would like to have you near me, to touch you now, to be sure we are part of the same bond of friendship and care, a family. But you are far away, busy, engaged with better chances, confrontation and confusion, hard work, swift changes. Photos on the kitchen shelves beam, heartwarming smile in a Howells moving Castle Mauve t-shirt, your favorite movie, and Italian red pepper earrings on the V&A background. When I feel sentimental, ache ticks spreading under the ribs, I send you a smile with hearts instead of eyes, clapping hands, a dancing lady and a hug, a pumpkin for Halloween or a halo for your name day. The impersonal networking warms me up, though infertile, reminds me of the importance of imperfection in our infernal autonomy. This is a poem for my mom. She's 90 years old. She lives in Rome. I haven't seen her since last Christmas, unfortunately. She's fine. She's doing all right. Cyclamens for my mother. You were surprised they were blooming in summer in my English house. Purpurесcence from the Mediterranean, the foliage curling upwards, the flowers downwards. In your balcony in Rome, they bend their heads, wither in the hot summer, in spite of your watering them. Every morning at dawn, with shaking hands. Bending your head, learning from the cyclamens, rolling your thoughts secretly in imaginary leaves. You stack them in piles, then incinerate. The dead are calling you. I'll hold your hand, walking the last steps of the journey. The cyclamens shrink within the bulb, under soil, till the new season comes. And now I'm going to read, Rodney suggested it, and I think he's right, from some translation I made of Alda Merini poems. She's an Italian poet. She died in 2009. I translated some aphorism from this book, Aphorism Magic. She's well known in Italy, especially in the late part of her life when she became a sort of TV celebrity. She started to publish her poems and be part of poetry circles in Milan and Rome. She's from Milan since she was 18. But then she had some mental problems, probably depression. And after some incidents, she was held in a mental hospital in Milan for more than 10 years. And at the time, in a mental hospital, they used electroshock and also heavy medications. So the experience was terrible. And she wrote a lot. She published a lot of collection after it. Her most famous collection, like Terra Santa, the Holy Land. They think she was a strange mad. She lived in the Navigli area in Milan, which was the deprived area at the time. Now it's very fashionable. And she used to write the poems. If you look at some videos online, she wrote her poems on the walls or dictated them on the phone to friends. These aphorisms have been published just yesterday in the Height Window. And so you can read them. So I read the Italian one and then the translation. Io amo ciò che non si dice. I love what is not spoken. La poesia è la pelle del poeta. Poetry is the skin of the poet. Il poeta non rigetta mai le proprie ombre. The poet never rejects her shadows. Non cercate di prendere i poeti perché vi scapperanno tra le dita. Don't try to catch the poets because they will slip through your fingers. Non sono una donna addomesticabile. I'm not a tameable woman. Prima di parlare con gli altri, addormenta la tua belva segreta. Before speaking with others, put to sleep your secret wild beast. Il peccato non si rifiuta mai. Sin is never to be rejected. Dammi canto da cantar soave, sicché lacrime di cielo colorino la vita. Give me a song to sing tenderly, so as tears from the sky color life. Nessuno mi pettina bene come il vento. No one combs me as well as the wind. L'inferno è la mia grande passione. Hell is my great passion. La pistola che ho puntato alla tempia si chiama poesia. The gun I pointed at the temple is called poetry. So this is Alda Merini. It's not so much published in English. The only book I found is these Love Lessons, translated by Susan Stewart, Princeton University Press, and she's a scholar. But the selection is very good because it spans all Merini's career, which is very original poetry and unusual views. Very interesting. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, Carla.